Hey teammates, it's K Wright once again, your Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, and we're here with another episode of the New Normal. A little bit of a different platform, but same old stuff where we talk to folks out in our military and society about their new normal. I'd like to welcome an extremely special guest that we have today. He is the coach of the Atlanta Falcons, Coach Dan Quinn. And so while we wait on folks to come online, we have something a little bit different today. A few guests that will be with us.
What's up, Coach Wright?
Get the heck out of here!
How you doing, sir? I'm not Dan Quinn, but I'm the next best thing to my guest.
Well, what a surprise. It looks like we have the Emmitt Smith with us today.
Hey, I love your haircut.
Yeah, you too. My man, what is going on, brother?
Oh, man, I can't call it. Down here in Texas and trying to stay safe, trying to stay out of harm's way in terms of quarantining and everything. But everything is great. It's a pleasure and an honor to meet you.
No, it's my pleasure. I mean, you wouldn't believe how long I've been a fan, man. God, man, this is pretty surprising. So,
well, someone told me that you were a big fan, and this opportunity came up, and I appreciate our men and women in the armed forces and so forth. And so, I felt like this is something very special, very unique. It's not that often that you get a chance to do something like this. And when you do have an opportunity to do it, you want to make it work. So thank you for your patience. I know we had some technical difficulties at early, but I'm here. I'm going to be here for you. And let's do whatever you want to do, bro.
Okay, good, man. Well, hey, Emmitt, tell me about what's life been like for you after the NFL?
You know, it's interesting because as a football player, we always try to have this mindset of a military person, even though we're not in the military. And my motto was, I like to do everything. I do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day. I adopted that motto. Okay. And so it's been that way for me since I retired, because I had this passion to continue beyond the game anyway, and transitioning from sports, which consumed almost 28 plus years of my life. And then it's finally over and done. Having that closure helped me to move on. And I think having that closure is the one thing that a lot of us miss, because we feel like there's nothing left for us to do when we put so much energy and so much focus and everything else in terms of being the very best that you can possibly be and competing at a level that's so high. You try to look for those things afterwards. And it's kind of hard to find those things because normal society, I mean, some people are just on routines. They just get up, go to work, punch that clock, and they're done. But for people like you and I and all of us, we on a mission, and that mission is to become the very best that we can possibly be every day. Yeah. So how do you duplicate something like that when that piece is over? You have to find other things that you're passionate about, and you have to go all in like you did everything else. And that's the way I've looked at it. And it's been very good, very good. I've been excited about the things that I'm doing, excited about the people that I'm around, because now I get a chance to take some of that football leadership into a boardroom, if you will, and try to get the very best out of other people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So I don't know if you know if they told you, but I'm getting ready to go through a transition myself. I'll be retiring from the Air Force after almost 32 years.
Wow.
And so I'll be looking to do that same thing, take some of the skills that I've learned and transition it into the corporate space.
All I can say to you is you have what it takes. You just got to tap into this next phase. It's going to be different, but you just have to tap into, you got to bring all the things that God has already equipped you with. He put you in the military and you learned these certain skills for over 30 some years. And those skills are not going to go away. Those skills definitely translate into other areas. Now you may have to deal with HR differently,
right?
but they do translate, and you have what it takes. You have the foundation, you have the fundamentals, you have the intellect, You have the leadership skills, you have the people coping skills, you have the adjustment skills, you have all of the things that really applies to everyday life. And matter of fact, you have that and more. And so it's the and more part that once you get it and figure it out, you're gonna like, yeah, I got this. I got this.
I appreciate that. Hey, let me ask you about a couple of things that's happening in our world right now. I want to talk a little bit about COVID and how that's really impacted you. But first, let's deal with what we consider the alligator in the boat, the racial inequalities and what's happening in our country with respect to race. What's your thoughts? Where are we? And does this feel different to you this time?
It does feel different, and it feels like people all across the board, all colors, all genres, have had enough, and enough is enough. Because America truly, in order to embrace your future, you truly got to understand what your past was like, and come to some level of conclusion. As I talked about it earlier, in terms of closure, having closure. And having closure doesn't mean that you owe somebody something. It just means that I have acknowledged that something was bad. And it was bad, so bad to the point where it hurt a lot of people. Saying I'm sorry and correcting the institutional issues of racism so people can have equal opportunity as the Lady Liberty always talk about, and as our Constitution dictates as well. I think that's all that people ever want, is a fair chance to be the very best that they can possibly be. Now, character issues, that's on them. Perseverance and desire, that's on the individual. But those things will come when people are motivated and feel like they have an opportunity to truly live out the American dream. So I honestly believe that, and I was watching something yesterday, my wife, and they were talking about, in the past, there was only two ways out. It was the Michael Jackson story, and out of Gary, Indiana. There was two ways out during their time. One was through athletics and playing sports, and the other was through entertainment. Mm-hmm. Well, why does it have to be two ways when there are so many other ways to get out of your neighborhood? But if you have a system that's only perpetuating one way, showing that you can only be successful if you look like this, then that makes everybody else feel, number one, inferior. Number two, doesn't give them the courage that they need, that they can truly fulfill the American dream. So the question becomes, is the American dream really true for everybody? And if it's not true for everybody, we have failed the system.
Yeah.
And the system has failed us. And so, but I think that this movement right now is an amazing movement, because you got young people that are fed up, and rightfully so. And there's some things that definitely need to change. And we need to do it at the voting booth, number one. And then we got to vote people into office that not necessarily on the local basis, but also on the state basis, as well as on a national basis. Democrats, Republicans, you call it. They have to have the right heart and the right spirit of what America is truly all about. And they got to quit being so damn selfish.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of things that need to change, it's been in the news recently about the lack of black coaches in the NFL.
Right.
How do we get past that, man? What do you think the NFL needs to do to get more guys like Eric Bieniemy and some of the other coaches more opportunities? Or
give them a chance.
Opportunity to begin with.
Give them a chance.
Yeah.
Give them a chance. I mean, give them a chance. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
If you shouldn't have to, if you got to ask yourself the question, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what am I doing to stop this from happening? Mm-hmm. I mean, because you got guys that are qualified. I look at it like this: when you have players, some players are on rosters for 15, 20 years and getting paid millions of dollars just to back up a quarterback and praying that guy don't get hurt. and then you have quality players like Colin Kaepernick that's just sitting on the sideline because of whatever the things that he stands for. Mm-hmm. You have a guy like Tim Tebow that's on the sideline, and who brings great leadership skills to a team that could be better than some of the backup quarterbacks that we know. And his work ethic would be will be infectious, and others will buy into that, and that's the kind of guy you want on the team. But why isn't he on the team?
Mm-hmm.
For various reasons, and those are the reasons that the NFL really need to look deep inside of itself and understand the roots that are limiting the ability for people of color, people of certain religion, people of certain faith, and all these kind of things. Because the NFL is truly a melting pot when I think about it. Because as a football player, I go on the football field, I don't think about your religion. I don't think about your color. All I want to know is, can you get the job done?
Right.
And can we win together? And we will win, we will lose, and we will cry, we will laugh, we will celebrate all together. And that's part of the game that I absolutely love. And so when you see things like Eric Bieniemy, who's calling the offensive plays for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer, right?
It's the no-brainer. But, you had Lovie Smith. You had Tony Dungy. You had other coach, Marvin Lewis, and many other coaches as well. But I also believe that there are some other African-American coaches that are very nice, very good, and can lead teams. But, leading a team sometimes is a little bit different than just being an offensive coordinator and a head coach.
Right, yeah. I hope that the NFL, just like I hope that the Air Force, man, can lead on this issue. One, in your case, by hiring more black coaches, and in our case, by fixing some of the systemic issues centered around race that we have. I think we both as organizations have an incredible opportunity to be a leader, to set a good example for lots of folks out there.
Right.
Hey, let's shift to COVID for a minute. I remember it was either 92 or 93. I think you held out, and so subsequently. You probably didn't get a lot of, and I'm sure you were working out on your own, but you didn't get a lot of time with the team. You came in and killed it that year, and we won the Super Bowl. But so what advice do you have for guys in the NFL today that, due to COVID, won't be able to get the reps in? They won't be able to practice with the team. And then, Zeke did it last year, and he came in and didn't do quite as well as he normally does. But same thing, I think it's just in Cowboy blood to be able to do it. But any advice for the players that will be leading up to this football season, but may not have had the opportunity to get the reps in that they normally do?
Well, here's the thing that I would say. Jimmy Johnson said it best. Fatigue make cowards out of all of us. If fatigue make cowards out of all of us, then that means you have to train as an individual and prepare for the season on your own. If you can get with a few guys and spread out on the field somewhere and run and develop that competitive spirit on the training field and in the training ground, if you could do that, that's a plus. But if you can't, you know how to train. You know how to prepare your body. We've been doing this thing for a number of years. Mm-hmm. You are a professional athlete. The word professional means that you understand what it's required to prepare for football season. And for rookies, it may be tougher because they've never gone through it before. But for veterans should know how to prepare their body. So the one thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is staying in shape, staying in great physical shape. Now, once you get on the football field, everybody got to make that adjustment because you got to wear the helmets and so pads. And that adjustment is probably 2 days, 3 days, just enough to get the soreness out of the way. Mm-hmm. And then after that, it's on.
It's game on, right?
So if you're in great shape, you don't go to training camp to get in the shape. You go to training camp to be in shape and to be in football shape from that point on.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. And hey, man, what we doing with Dak? Are we gonna get this thing done? I mean, we get down to about less than a month now before the deadline, right?
Yeah. I believe we will get it done. And Dak is going to get signed, and it'll be a crying shame if he doesn't. It'll be, I look at things like this. This is one of those things where you can definitely jack up the chemistry of a team by messing with a key player like Dak Prescott. If you're messing with him too much, you're sending a message not only to him, but to the rest of the team. And that's when players started thinking about themselves. I'm going to perform at my best. I'm going to get to the free agency line, and I'm gone. Because if they treating him like that, there's no way they're going to treat me any better.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get it done, and I look forward to a really, really good season. How's the golf game?
It's struggling because I haven't played golf in about 3 to 4 months.
Really?
Yeah. Ever since this quarantining and isolation and social distancing stuff been activated, I have not been on a golf course. I live across the street from one, and one I normally go play at. I just drive by and see the grass green and the fairways cut, and I'm like, okay, until they come up with a cure, I'm not going out there.
Yeah. Well, good, man. Hey, well, one of the things that we did different this time is we got a few other fans. Now, I was thinking they was fans of the Falcons and Dan Quinn, but I'm assuming these are Cowboy fans that we got hanging out. So we're going to invite a few of those guys in to come in and maybe ask you a few questions.
Sure, no problem.
All right. And I think, let's see, our first guest is Staff Sergeant Kendall Conroy. Kendall, are you with us?
Hello, Kendall.
Hi, I'm a flight and operational medical technician. I'm currently deployed, so I apologize if my a little bit. I actually grew up in going to Cowboys games and play Emmitt, so I'm excited here.
It's a pleasure.
So I have a 2-part question. The first question is, what in your set you up for success? Did you have influential mentors, supportive leaders? Did you have a supportive family able to afford to send you to all of the football training camps? What led to your goal of success?
Well, first and foremost, I never went to football camps, any of the training camps when I was a kid at all. All the things that you see, these specialized coaches and all that, we didn't have that when I was younger. What I was able to receive and was able to afford, I had relatives that played football, and they were much older than I was at the time. And as they loved doing with young kids, taking them out in the backyard, teaching them certain things. And my cousins taught me so much about the game of football, and I learned so much. But most importantly, as I started to play, I started to develop coaches. I had coaches that actually took an interest and poured into me as well. So I had mentors, even before I even started using the word mentors growing up. I mean, I had coaches. I knew more about football by the time I was a senior in high school than most people would have, most of my peers did going into college. The only thing I had to learn differently was the terminology. Understanding defenses was something that I learned even in high school. And so having those things and having people in your life to help shape you, mold you, and not only help direct you, they're heaven sent. These are just angels in disguise, is the way I look at it. Because when I look back now and reflect, I cannot tell you why Charlie Edgar, who was my coach when I was 10, 11, and 12 years old, is such an impact, has had such an impact in my life. Dwight Thomas, who was my high school head coach, had such an impact in my life in terms of discipline. Jimmy Nichols, who was my offensive coordinator for 3 years in high school, had a huge impact in my life in terms of understanding the game and so forth. And so there's been many folks that have come into my life at the right time when I needed them the most. And so, yeah, I credit a lot of my success to my upbringing. My mom and dad has always been supportive. My brothers and sisters always been supportive, and likewise, and try to do the same thing for them as well. So to me, football is life. Life is family, and that's just the way things need to be taken care of.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that answer, Emmitt, and thanks, Kendall. So our next guest is Airman First Class Clayton Hutto. And Clayton is a personnelist, and he's coming to us from Aviano Air Base. Clayton, are you with us?
Good morning. It's afternoon here for Italy. But my question is, aside from professional football, what are other career options that have interested you throughout your career?
Well, right now I'm in the real estate business. I have a real estate services company, so we do a number of different things. Number one, we have brokerage services, tenant rep business. So we have a brokerage services company called E. Smith Advisors. We also have a development company called E. Smith Properties. So we develop properties as well, whether it's single tenant, multi-tenant, we mostly all commercial. I have a construction company called E.J. Smith Construction. So we put in roads and bridges, infrastructure work as well. So overall, those are the things that I learned. It's amazing. I talked about Charlie Egger just a minute ago. He's the one that actually taught me how to read blueprints and floor plans when I was 10 years old. And so when I was 11. And so now I have my own construction company because he had his. And so just opening your eyes and eye to many things that are outside the game is some of the things that a lot of people that has helped me and guided me along the way instilled in me back in those days. And so those are some of the things that I carry with me right now.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Clayton. All right.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Senior Airman Omadolani Eti, and he's coming to us right there from Dallas, Texas.
Really?
So,
She.
Omadolani, you with her? She is.
Yeah, so it's actually Omotolani.
Omotolani.
Yes, Omotolani Eti. I am a senior airman, and I am a unit security manager for the 221 here in Dallas, Texas. Yes, so Emmitt, I know a lot about you. So my question, first and foremost, you did touch on it a little bit, and it's about the social injustice thing and the protesting going on around the world. As a millennial, I heard you say, enough is enough. And, we're saying enough is enough, but how do we really move forward, saying enough is enough? Because we've been saying enough is enough for about 400 years. So
right.
How do we continue? How do we move forward, especially in my time, compared to when you were younger? How do I, translate that message to people who are not African American?
Here's the thing. When we look back in our past history and we look at what the 400 years of oppression has done to us personally, mentally, emotionally, as well as physically, it has been designed to do two things. One, to lower your morale. Two, to keep us all separate. If they can keep you separated, then you cannot exercise the power that you really possess. And separation is separating the whole entire country, not just Black people or Hispanic people or white folks. It's just a way to divide people. Collectively, we were all bred and born to be together. God wants us to have a relationship, not only with him, but a relationship with our fellow man and woman in that way. And so if we're keeping things separate and apart, how can you develop those relationships? And so my thing is, right now, the movement is so strong and the environment is so fertile. Now's the time to do it. How is it? How do you get it done? You get it done by going to the ballot booth. You got to vote. You got to vote, and you got to push the right people and push them into the right positions and offices. I mean, I'm not just talking about the primary. I'm talking about the midterms too.
Right.
I'm talking about all of the above. Because if we got senators and Congress people that are not doing their job, get them out of office and get the right person in. The person that is motivated for change, the person that is driving change. We have a bunch of women up there now that is wrecking shop. And at the end of the day, if you got some women and some men that's going to go up there and wreck shop and truly drain the swamp and create an environment for inclusion, then I think you have the right people. If you got people that are willing to walk in our neighborhoods, to understand us in our neighborhood and understand others in their neighborhood, they might be the right people. But we got to hold them accountable like we hold you accountable for what you do. And they hold us accountable for what we did on the football field. Because when we were losing, they were talking about firing them. And when you're not doing your job, you're talking about firing them. And the same thing should happen to those guys up there as well. There's no way that they should be sitting in the job up there for as long as they have and not created the equal opportunity for all the way Lady Liberty planned it in the first place. And that's one way we get a change. And systemic racism is institutionalized in various aspects of our lives, whether it's in the prison system, whether it's in the justice system, whether it's in the financial system, whether it's even in the system of development and the way communities are all developed. And there's so much to look at, and so many things that needs to change, and so many things that we need to look at and evaluate. We have the technology now to help us evaluate a lot of things. We talk about data, big data, and all that. Well, the data's been there for years, but you have ignored it. So we actually got to apply it now. And so we apply it in the right areas in the right way with the right intentions. Then I think we can make significant change.
Okay. As an African American woman in the industry of tech, my goal is to teach the younger individuals how to actually use that data in a very positive way. So just to let you know, I'm out there trying.
Right.
trying
but you shouldn't have to do it by yourself. You shouldn't have to do it by yourself. And the more people are meeting you halfway, and the more people we bring to the table doing the same thing. And if we're looking at the data, the right people are looking at the data, want to really affect change. They look at the data appropriately. The data's already telling us what it is, and we shouldn't be lying to ourselves. And no, that's not true. It's been this way for 400 years. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. If our income levels are still the same way, at the same wages where they were when we came out of slavery, nothing has changed.
Nothing.
How can you defend the data? You just can't. And so at the end of the day, America truly has to do self-reflection. We have to look ourselves in the mirror, and I'm telling everybody. And we all carry a sense of social bias in some way, shape, or form. And some of it may be warranted, some of it is not warranted. Either way it goes, it's just not good. And we have to clean it up.
Thank you so much. I don't want to take more time.
No,
all right. Thanks. Amodalani, right?
Amotolani.
Amotolani.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, Emmitt, our next guest is Nicholas from San Antonio, Texas.
All right, I'm Technical Sergeant Nicholas Pacheco from San Antonio, Texas. I'm a reservist and a military training instructor out of here in San Antonio, Texas, and I'm a big fan of Emmitt Smith and a big fan of Chief Wright as well. My question is, what fueled you when people told you were too small to be in the NFL or to be a running back?
Well, what really fueled me was the fact that they didn't know what kind of football player I was. They were just looking at physical specs and comparing physical specs to a decade-old information. Because prior to me coming into the National Football League, you had the prototypical size running backs. You had the Earl Campbells that were real big. You had Eric Dickerson that was a tall guy. Marcus Allen was a tall guy. O.J. Simpson was a tall guy. You had guys that was built a certain way. And then you had guys like Thurman Thomas come along and blow that up. James Brooks kind of blow that up. Wilmer Montgomery, Walter Payton blew that up. And so, but when you get compared to a Herschel Walker and these guys, and they're trying to compare you to that, well, no, I'm not his size. I'm never going to be his size. But the one thing I kept holding on to when they started saying things about me that was negative, I kept looking back at my past and say, you know what? I was successful at this level. I was successful at that level. And what makes them think that I cannot be successful at this level? I mean, because the players that I played against in college in the SEC, which we all know is one of the best conferences, not the best conference in all of NCAA football. If I can be successful at that level, I'm prepared to play at this level, because a lot of the players that you're drafting, I played against them. I ran over them. I ran around them. I ran through them. I did all the things that I needed to do. And now you're going to tell me I can't play against these same guys? That just doesn't make any sense. So the people who were saying that, the quote unquote experts, you have to question their expert opinion. I mean, they can't determine heart. They can't determine passion. They cannot determine work ethic. Those are some of the things that you don't see that's physically on the surface. And if you do see them, people are so busy trying to compare this to that they miss some of the key ingredients: heart, desire, passion, work ethic, commitment, drive, determination, things that you cannot really calculate.
Yes, sir.
And most importantly, God's grace. They can't calculate that one either. So you take all of these things with you, and if it's for you, the doors will open up for you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
And our final guest for today is a guy by the name of Justin. We call him Tin Man.
What's up, Tim, man?
Hey, Untitled Air Force, good morning. How y'all doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, they saved the UGA Bulldog fans for last, but that's okay because I agree. The SEC is the greatest conference out there. All right.
It is.
So let's get into the question. I have first question for Emmitt, then the second will be for you, Chief Master on Air Force. Emmitt, when did you know you had transitioned from a good football player to one of the greatest to ever do it?
First and foremost, I never thought I would ever become one of the greatest to ever do it. Even at this level right now, I don't necessarily consider myself the greatest who have ever done it. And the reason why is because I have so much respect for Jim Brown and Walter Payton. And I do know this: if a human did it before, another human can do it again. And so all I've done is set my mark in history. Now, all the greatest, that's left for debate. Because we all come at different times and different eras, and the game itself is steady evolving. So it'll be unfair to compare my era to Jim Brown's era. It'd be unfair to compare Jim Brown's era to my era. It'd be unfair to compare the next person who's coming in the future to the era which I played at. And so it's kind of like trying to compare LeBron to Jordan or Kobe to Jordan. You just cannot do it. And so the times are different, and the way that they play the game is different. You saw what Jordan had to go through. He had to go through the Pistons and the Celtics and the Knicks, and they all physically beat him up. I mean, physically beat him up.
Right.
Today in basketball, they don't even allow that to even take place. Today in football, they don't allow guys to get hit the way they used to get hit back in the 80s and in the 90s. And so things have changed. So to compare the two will be kind of ludicrous in a sense, because you're not truly comparing apples to apples. And so all I can say is I try to do my best for as long as I could. And hopefully my best set me at the top from a statistical standpoint. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I was the best football player to have ever played the game. Just means I ran the longest and the furthest. That's all it means.
I can dig it. Definitely one of the best. All right.
Thank
So the next question is for Chief Master on Air Force, right? Can you share a little bit of story that you had a little bit of mix up of who you were when you were coming out of your knee surgery?
Oh, snap. Yeah. Oh, man, I forgot all about that. So, hey, Emmitt, last January, so this would have been January 19, I had some minor knee surgery, a scope, and some elbow stuff done at the same time. But like any other surgery, I was under. And as a young medical technician was trying to wake me up and bring me out of the anesthesia, she asked what my name was. And so I don't remember this. My wife had to tell me this story because she called and told my wife. And when she asked me my name, I said Emmitt Smith. Now, of course, this young lady, she couldn't have been more than 20 or 21, so she had no idea who I was talking about. But hey, man, you must have been on my mind even after I was trying to get my body together.
You were thinking about that New York Giant game. That's what you were thinking about.
Yeah.
Coming out of there.
That's right. When you had I think what'd you have, a broken clavicle? Or,
I had a AC separation.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
That was big. That was big. All right. Well, hey, thanks, Tim, man.
Thanks, Chief. See you.
All right. Hey, so Emmitt, that's all the guests that we have. That's all the guests that we have for today. But man, I just want to say thank you for being a role model. Thank you for everything that you've done, not only for the NFL, but for the communities in which you serve, and for inspiring a young brother like myself to continue to try to take care of other people and do the best that I can in our communities and in our Air Force, like you've done for your community. So I definitely really appreciate it. I want to give you the floor for any last words that you might have for all of the airmen that might be watching us today.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for the kind words, number one, and to thank all of the Air Force men and women who are out there serving our country and on the front line, protecting us and preserving the rights and the freedoms that we actually have today. And just know this: not an NFL player in the world that I know of, when they take a knee, is disrespecting you or intending to disrespect you. It has nothing to do with disrespecting you, because every NFL player that I know, and the guys that grew up the way we all have grown up, they understand and respect people like yourselves that are out there on the front line laying down their lives, who are the real true heroes. Somehow or another, society have distorted it and made us players become heroes in the eyes of many others. But the true heroes are the men and women of the armed forces that are laying it on the line every day to preserve Lady Freedom. And also the men and women who are out there right now on the front line fighting this COVID-19. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me the freedoms to go out and play the sport that I actually absolutely love, and being an inspiration to us. Because like I said earlier, I have adopted the military motto: I do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day. I love it because it makes the day go long. It provides you the opportunity to get more done. And at the end of the day, my workouts were the hardest part of my day. Everything else was easier. So from a mentality standpoint, kudos to each and every one of you. Keep going, keep fighting, stay encouraged, and read between the tea leaves and understand that Colin Kaepernick had a mission. And that mission didn't have nothing to do with disrespecting you nor the flag. And we love you. Peace out.
No, man. We love you too, and we appreciate it, brother. So,
Thank
ladies
you.
and gentlemen, once again, this has been The New Normal. Very, very special guest today, Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time rushing leader and ultimate Dallas Cowboy. Emmitt, thanks again. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you on the next episode.
Most definitely.
All right. Thank you.
Peace out.